Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm going to give people a few minutes to hop on. Day 2 of 5 lessons on worthiness. I'm calling it the Worthiness Warrior Lessons. So I'll go ahead and give you guys a minute to hop on. Say hi when you do. Katie. So day 2 of 5. I'm going to do 5 of these. And I'm so excited. It's like kept me on fire all day. When you hop on, please say hi. All right, so when you are either watching here or you're watching the replay, right? Like, I encourage you to comment. I encourage you to engage. I encourage you to share this because you guys, I have yet, well, actually I usually talk about how like everyone struggles with this, and I've met one person who said she didn't struggle with this, but most people struggle with this. And so even if you don't know, it's always better to share because you never know where someone is. And don't assume that you know the place that they are. You never know the support that they need. So today I wanted to go a little bit deeper into something that I talked about yesterday. And that is proving yourself wrong. So yesterday I talked about how so many of us are more worried about being right than we are about having our quality of life. We're more worried about if we're right than we are about finding the love of our life or creating the abundance that we want or the joy or the freedom or the job or whatever your thing is that you want in life. We're more worried about being right and proving ourselves right in accordance to our stories than we are about actually admitting that we might be wrong and creating a whole new thing, a whole new story, and a whole new experience for yourself in your life. And so sometimes this can look like being the martyr, right? Or being the victim. And that story, right, is going to prevent us from showing up in a big way because we believe that we are a martyr and we take pride in being a martyr and we take pride in being a victim because maybe it has served us in our past. And so I never want to make anyone wrong for the stories that they've had thus far in their life, right? There's nothing wrong with them. They've all served you and brought you to exactly where you need to be, which is beautiful and perfect for right now. And once you become aware of it, that is your invitation to begin to change it. And so maybe a victim story or a martyr story or the I'm not enough story or the shoulding on yourself story has given you something like attention or it's kept you safe, right? Which all of our stories usually have kept us safe until now. And so that safety, we believe it brings us comfort. We believe that it keeps us comfortable. And this is the craziest part, right? Is like we tell ourselves like, oh, I'm afraid of success or I'm afraid of failure or like, what if this happens? And we believe that the unknown and the uncertainty and the things that we can't foresee is scarier and is more uncomfortable than sitting in the discomfort and the unhappiness and the unfulfillment that we're feeling right now. Right? And maybe this applies to you and maybe it doesn't. So please take what works and run with it. Leave the rest on the table. But we're so worried about the unknown. We're so worried about the thing that we can't see the future, right? The change. We're so worried about what that could bring that we would rather sit in this discomfort And by this discomfort, I mean the discomfort of knowing that you were made for more, but you're afraid to take those leaps because you don't know what the other side holds. The discomfort of feeling like you're not enough, not understanding your worth or your value because you're afraid of the other side of what understanding your worth or your value means and what it could do in your life. Hey Jake, how's it going? Oh my gosh. So happy that you hopped on. Hi from Lake Havasu, Arizona to Athens. That's amazing. And so you guys, we're so afraid of discomfort that we don't realize that we're in this chronic space of discomfort right now. And instead of addressing it, we just decide to sit in this discomfort instead of lean into it and see where it takes us and how it progresses and what it creates in our life, because we would rather be right than create a life that sets our soul on fire. And now I'm going to challenge you and ask you why. What are you afraid of on the other side? What are you afraid of creating? Are you afraid of actually proving yourself right? Which is like, I'm not enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, I'm not successful. Whatever your thing is, are you worried about proving that right? Because how is that any different than what you're doing right now? Which is believing your story, finding evidence of from your past to prove yourself right now and actually manifesting it into existence. So sometimes we're so afraid of that story being right in the future, in the unknown, that we don't even realize that we're actually making that our reality right now. To me, that's mind-blowing, like completely mind-blowing. That we're so afraid of manifesting and creating the exact thing that we're afraid of, that we actually create the exact thing that we are afraid of. What? Like, oh my God. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about that? There was one time, let me tell you a story about how this was played into my life. It was like 3.5 years ago, and I was talking to someone and I was telling them how I'm afraid of failing, how I didn't want to start my business because I was afraid of failing. Okay, at this time I had 0 clients, I had 0 speaking gigs, I was working at a job that I hated. Then he looks at me and he goes, "Aren't you already failing?" And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. I'm already failing. But because I was so stuck in my fear of what could be, I didn't actually see my reality. So now I'm switching it back at you. That story, your not enoughness story, your lack of self-worth story, what is it? And how is it actually already true in your life? Usually I do the opposite with people, but I want you to become aware of that, of how you're actually already creating that, and you're still alive. You're still here. You haven't died. Your life hasn't fallen apart, right? You're still here and you're still living and you're still okay. And so if you're afraid that that thing is actually going to come true, and you see how it already is, but you already see that you're okay, then that takes some of the fear out of it, that takes some of the uncertainty out of it, because, my friend, no matter what, you will be okay. You have the resilience. Hey, Tally. You have what it takes. You have all of the answers and all of the tools and everything you need and all of the support within you, no matter what happens. And so now I want you to look at your not enough story. I want you to see how you actually have already created that thing in your life. Okay? Because everything, right? Katie, yes, everything is perfect. Everything is exactly as it should be. Okay? So now we're so afraid of being, we so want to be right. Like we want to show ourselves how we're not enough, right? And we're also so afraid of that happening that we've already created it in our life. And then now it's time to create a new story of your not enoughness, right? So how are you enough? And I talked about this yesterday, but I'm going to talk about it every day because I want to ingrain this in you. So now it's time to decide and define what being enough means to you, what your own definition of worthiness means, how it looks and feels in your life. And then find evidence about how that is true. And so yesterday I talked about how my new definition of being good enough is me showing up, regardless of how scared or nervous or uncertain I am. Me being good enough means I fail and I make mistakes, but I try and I try and I try again. And that means I am good enough as long as I can continue trying. My good enough is showing up even when I'm scared. And so I know when I'm doing all of these things, I'm ingraining in my mind, I'm actually creating new neural pathways in my brain to show myself how I am enough when I do these things. And it's changing my own definition of my self-worth. It's changing actually how I'm seeing myself. And it's raising my level of self-worth. And that's what I want you to do too. Change your definition. Allow yourself to see how you are showing up that way by defining it, and watch your perception of yourself rise with it. So prove yourself wrong, to redefine, prove yourself right, and find evidence to create that new change in your life. That's how it starts. And again, if you are ready to go deeper, if you are ready to full on tackle this and change your life and change how you show up, change your confidence, change your joy, your freedom, how you feel in your life, in your whole experience, attract the love, attract the abundance, attract the peace that you're craving, then it's time to reach out about my Worthiness Mindset program. Because this is the game changer. This is when everything will shift for you. And I'm so excited to take you there. So please share this with someone who needs it. Share this on your timeline because you never know who's struggling with this. And let's make this message a movement. I will see you tomorrow at 2:30 Mountain Standard Time, all right, to go even deeper to the next level, to keep peeling back those layers. So please join me then. Share that with someone who needs it, who can join us too, and have an amazing rest of your day.